Hello and welcome to The Dirt and the Divine. I'm Krisha Young, executive growth strategist, author, and advocate for living a fully aligned and unapologetic life. This podcast is rooted in the belief that every beautiful life grows from both the messy and the magnificent. Here we share real, raw stories of people who faced life's hardest moments, took radical responsibility, and chose joy and alignment over avoidance. My hope is that you hear these conversations and think, wow, if they made it through and found happiness, so can I. This space is about honoring both the dirt and the divine because together they shape a life worth living. Please note that this podcast is for general discussion only and is not a substitute for therapy, legal, or professional advice. So today I'm super excited to have my guest, Laurie Handlers. She's a globally recognized author, speaker, and facilitator at the intersection of leadership, sexuality, and personal transformation. Her Amazon international bestsellers, Sex and Happiness, It Gets Better with Age, have inspired readers to embrace pleasure, power, and purpose at every stage of life. Featured in outlets like Canada's Bloomberg Report, BBC, the New York Times, and the Washington Post, Laurie has captivated audiences worldwide with her bold, insightful talks on intimacy, empowerment, and aging with vitality. Known for her humor and candor, Laurie leads transformational retreats that help women over 45 reclaim sensuality, dissolve shame, and step into embodied leadership. At 67, she met the love of her life and co-created Extraordinary Lovers, a program that helps couples reignite intimacy and deep connection. Laurie proves that life, love, and sexuality only get better with age. Hi, Laurie.
Woohoo. That was
Whoa, I
great.
know.
Thank you.
Like,
I'd be inspired to hear that.
and it's like, okay, podcast done.
That was great. I want to let you know that I actually do retreats for all ages, but I've created special ones for women and men who are over 50 so that they can realize that life isn't over. So,
Yeah, and I'm
yeah.
excited to hear more about your work in the world and to talk about It Gets Better with Age. And like I want all of your insights,
Mhm.
please, and thank you. I love that you found the love of your life at an older age, and I'm still hoping for that for myself. And I'm sure
Great.
there's people listening and watching who are like, maybe give up. Like, no, don't give up. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, what's your story? What got you here? And then we'll shoot off from there.
Great. So when I was a kid, I was very precocious. I was really interested in my body. And my mother and my grandmother were very frightened that that was, that I would be a slut, that I would be slut shamed, and that, they had to watch me like a hawk. And I didn't really, when I started having sex, which was when I was probably around 18, I couldn't find anybody to actually talk to about it. The partners that I had chosen to share my body with were like, this chick is crazy. Like, why does she want to talk about it?
Mm,
And I just felt like there was more to life and that sex was more pivotal and central in the theme of who we are as humans than what was being told to me and what was being said. So it was like a natural outgrowth of who I really was. Yeah, I was the girl in high school that um, found out what the terms meant. Like I would ask the boys, what does this mean? And then I would run into the girls' locker room and I would tell all the girls, this is what this means. Because I had so much curiosity and it seemed like it was so taboo to speak about it and talk about it. And I didn't actually find Tantra or sacred sexuality till I was 46. So before that, I did everything I could in terms of personal growth and development and transformation and talk therapy. But when I found sacred sexuality, I felt like I found the answer. Like I felt like the Holy Grail was revealed to me that basically central to human beings is this part of us that sexuality holds, and it holds not only procreation and being able to manifest the next humans on the planet. But it also holds the seat of our creativity. And if we block our body, a lower part of our body from the thinking, from the frontal cortex, then we're blocked. We're not super creative. We're not who we're meant to be. And so it's been my lifelong journey since in my 40s, I'm in my 70s now, to expose as many people as possible around the world to the fact that their body's really important. It really counts in adding things up and figuring things out. It's not just a strategy in the head, but everything needs to be taken into account and consideration. And the more flow we have, the more peaceful and the more wonderful our lives are, and the more joy and pleasure. So that's pretty much what I'm committed to. And I'm also committed to ending whatever the gender war is and the divide is between people. I think that's ridiculous. I think like continuing that, propagating people to hate each other when in fact we need each other is really dumb. So I'm for people connecting. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you. Thanks for sharing all of that. And
Yeah.
I resonate like so hard with everything that you're saying. And it's funny, we found out just before I'm not going to say when it is, but we found out just before we got on here that our birthdays are like one day apart. And
Yeah.
I wonder if there's something about that, because I too have always felt that, sexuality, sensuality is very healthy. It's just something that oozes out of me. But like many people, like there's this shame, there's this like weird stuff around it, right? And I've always had curiosity about it, but because of being slut shamed and because of being made wrong for it or whatever, I actually turned mine off until I was in my 40s. And so I had
Mhm.
like kind of a similar sort of like revelation in my 40s where I was like, wait a minute, what is this? What is this part of me? And this is like so natural and it's so fun and it's so amazing. And you're right, like there, I didn't know I even had a body until then, right? Like it was just all
Right.
operating out of my head. And then when I started to make that connection and started to like, wait, this is so natural, this is so beautiful. And it's not just about like the function of it, it's about the creativity, the bigness of it all. And
Yeah.
I also came into Tantra in my 40s, and it was the same thing. Like when you were saying it, it was like, wait a minute, yeah, that's what happened for me too. It was like it enabled me to understand the energetics of this in a whole new way, taking away any of the shame, taking away any of the preconceived notions that we have about what sex is and isn't, and and the divide that you talk about and all of that. When we really strip it down, it is this beautiful energy source that is really often misused. And when we can learn how to harness that for ourselves in our own specific flavor that we each have, and then transmute that into something that's really beautiful and creative. So I resonate so much with everything that you said.
Thank
And I
you.
want to hear more from you, like
Yeah.
more
Thank
about your experiences and more about like how this shows up in your work and your books, and like how you work with people through understanding, like getting them to connect between the head and their body.
Great. Well, in my classes, we have lots of embodiment practices. First, we start with boundaries and consent.
Mm.
So people need to know that people need to know how to say no, and they also need to know how to say yes to the things that there are yes to and the things that there are no to. So we spend a lot of time with that. And then we do embodiment practices, starting with emotions. So I've been practicing emotional release for over 40 years. I was a very angry person. I didn't really know why, but I was. And was very lovable. So my friends loved me, but they were always afraid like I might turn on them and become angry with them. And anger was like the only thing I had access to for a long time. So when we do emotional release practices, it's about practicing for the expression, the full expression of expressing and releasing, such that I'm current, like I don't have a backlog of anger. I don't have a backlog of sadness. I don't have a backlog of pain that has accompanied me through traumas and through experiences. And I'm not holding on to hostility towards men. I'm not holding on to hostility towards anyone. I speak my truth and I'm current because I brought myself to being current, being right now in the moment, letting go of anything that may have been weighing me down. And that's another thing that we're not taught in our culture. Like, emotions aren't as valued as thoughts. And so it's great that we think, and it's great that we can talk and talk therapy, but our bodies hold and store things that happened as a result of our experiences. And oftentimes people don't have an audience for being able to express those things. So then what happens is we get in a relationship, and the first time our partner makes a mistake, we have this overabundance of anger or overabundance of sadness or feeling, oh no, I'm going to fail at this. And all of that comes from the past. Some of it may come ancestrally from the past. It may not even come from our exact lifetime. It may come from our parents or our parents' parents' lifetimes. And the body stores all these things. So becoming emotionally current is second to learning how to say yes and no to things. And then dumping excessive stored pain or excessive stored anger or grief prior to being in an interaction with somebody, or knowing, like, wait a minute, I have to take some space. I have to take care of my emotions before I actually communicate with you. So that's part two. And then part three is like learning how to operate and be in a body. Like, what does this body want? And how much pleasure am I allowed to have? If we weren't meant to have pleasure, in my opinion, we would have been born in wood, metal, or glass. But we were born in skin. So we might as well have pleasure. All animals have pleasure. They just don't know how, they don't have the language to express it. But if you've ever swum with dolphins, you find out that these huge animals, these huge creatures, they love to rub up against each other, and they love to rub up against humans too. And they're not ashamed of it. Animals don't have shame. So it's just a human experience that in order to control us, other people instill shame on us.
Mm.
Shame's not a real emotion as far as I'm concerned. It's constructed by the powers that be that want us to be controlled. And if you strip us from our pleasure and our sexuality, then we can be easily controlled because it takes away our animal nature.
Yeah.
So
Um,
so that's the basis of my courses. And then, they focus on different things. Like, I have
mhm,
one course that focuses on couples being in relationship and returning to love no matter what.
mhm.
But I have other courses where it's really open-ended, where people learn to be sovereign, like to not be codependent on each other, or to not be living in the past based on what our experiences were or what happened in the past, but to be present, current, and in the now, able to feel it all and be it all. I don't think, like, to me, I don't think that if I don't have the whole full capacity to, like, look at my anger, which is mine. I mean, I'm not saying that somebody else has as much as I had, but if I don't have the capacity to look at all my anger, I don't have the capacity to be totally in joy, because it's a full spectrum. Like, if I want the colors of the rainbow, I need all the colors. And so anger and sadness and pain are just one side of the spectrum. The other side is joy, elation,
Like,
giddiness,
mhm.
um, just really pleasure, all the other things that they all go hand in hand. You can't just have one without the other.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you touched on so many things here. what I really liked, and I wrote it down, is like emotional currency, right? Like the being current with your emotions. I hadn't ever heard it explained in that kind of way. And like this is really deep work that you're talking about here,
Yeah,
because when you are in union with someone, anyone, you know, we are all bringing that material forth, you know, in any kind of relationship. We see the world as we are, not as it is. And actually, I've been going through the Course in Miracles, and today is my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. You know, it's like there
yeah,
nothing is here right now that I'm seeing that doesn't already have a past to it. This has a past to it because I understand that this is a phone, because in the past I've been conditioned to know that this is a phone. But if I
right,
landed here as something that had no past conditioning, I would literally have no idea what this is.
exactly.
Right. And so I almost wish we had that ability to be able to wake up every day with like fresh, you know, because that would be
Yeah,
wonderful.
there
Um,
was a movie that like that, The Eternal Sunshine of the Mind, I
oh
think.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. Or Dory from Finding Nemo. Hi, who are you? Hi, who are you? Wouldn't that be fun? You know,
We
but I
don't,
don't know if we'd
we
get
don't.
anything done though, because like we'd forget that we were working on a project yesterday and just be like, oh, we were building a building? I forgot. Whoopsies.
Unfortunately, where those things make a take, make a take meaning like they register in the body, both the pleasurable things that happen to us and the painful things that happen to us register in the body in this first and second chakras. So the
Yes.
first chakra in the Hindu system of bodies, the first chakra is where we sit, our anus, our anal sphincter muscles, our butt cheeks, our tailbone. That's all about survival and about um, what was happening when we came in, like the decade we were born and the conversations that our parents were having about survival, about money, about whatever was happening in the world then. If you were born in a war-torn country, or if you were born in a decade where there was a depression or what have you, all that stuff is landed and makes some kind of an imprint in the bottom of the body. And then the sex chakra registers the memories of pleasure and pain. And so it could be as small as, like, I like to use this example because I think it happened to me. I was waving goodbye to all my little friends who were on a school bus, and the bus kicked up a bunch of mud. And while I was waving, like mud splattered me. And the memory of that is in my sex. Also, the memory of if I got a good toy for the holidays or my birthday, or if I was celebrated or if I wasn't celebrated, anything that's pleasure and pain and the memories thereof are stored in the sex chakra. So then we go to have pleasure in our bodies. And oh, great, I'm going to get it on with someone. And what's in there is not only like, oh, yay, this is such a turn on. I'm aroused. I'm excited. I can't wait to be with this person, but also the school bus
Yeah.
and the bad toy and, maybe the death of a pet. I don't know. All of that is also stored there. So if we have ever had the experience of being with a partner who cried, or being the partner who cried and the other partner going, was
Yeah.
it something I said?
Yeah.
And no, it doesn't even have anything to do with you. I don't even know what it has to do with, but it's a bunch of stuff here.
Oh yeah.
Um, so those are like each segment of the body or each center in the body has its own issues, life issues, and also its own memories of things. And so those lower chakras store
Yeah.
uh, trauma and hurt and pain and also joy. But I, th- I think in psychology it says it's like 1,000 to 1. Like it takes almost 1,000 pleasurable experiences to erase one bad one.
Wow.
Yeah, I used to think it was 10 to 1. I was naive. I used to think it was 10 to 1. Like if I have 10 great experiences, it will erase some bad memory. But no, it takes more than that. Something about the limbic system and the
Mm.
the reptilian brain, because it wants to survive, remembers. Like you have to remember that if you put your hand on the stove, that's hot,
Mm.
and you pull back because you burn, you have to remember that more than you have to remember like eating ice cream.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense. It's
You
my
know?
species. That makes complete sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
From a like, animal instinct point of view, it makes complete sense.
exactly.
Yeah.
Good.
And the more stressed we are, the more, cortisol we're producing, the more like unhappy we are, but the more disconnected to pleasure we are, the more we're in our amygdala, the more we're in that like stress, like
Yeah,
scanning the problem
yeah.
and all of that. And then like going back to that emotional currency, like the being current, right? Like if we're not current, if we're not, I loved that because I can say that like for the most part, I am current because I have dealt with a lot of my stuff. And I'm very fresh when I show up to like with my clients or whatever, like I don't, there's no material of mine that I'm bringing into my conversations with people.
It's
However,
when we get in relationship.
it's when I was just going to say when I got into a relationship recently, and oh my gosh, the material that like came up. And I think that sometimes like I had done a lot of healing on my own, on my attachment styles, and looked at like a lot of stuff based on my previous relationships and things like that. But it wasn't until I met this individual that like, oh my gosh, all these other new things came up. And I think sometimes you can't really heal in a vacuum. Like sometimes you do need a relationship to kind of like
Yeah,
bounce those things off. And hopefully you find somebody who's also doing their work, and then the two of you rise together. But if not, then it doesn't always work. But sometimes it's like mirrors, and there's all sorts of layers with this stuff. And it's like, yeah, like where are you being current? And then where are you being current? And are you bringing in that past stuff? And then it's like the only way for you to really look at this past stuff is to start looking at the nervous system and to start looking at somatic type practices. um,
yes,
and like you said, like embodiment, right? Emotional embodiment, ancestral stuff, your chakras. And like I think that combining all of these modalities together, um is really powerful. Like it's not, I find that it's not just one thing. Like I like to play like ritual roulette, like what do you feel like looking at today? And there's a million ways we can do this. Let's play roulette. And
mm,
because there's so many ways that we can sort of like come into our psyches and our bodies and all of it. It's like a diamond. What facet do we want to look at today?
exactly,
Right?
exactly.
But like looking at all the facets is what actually helps to chip away and make you current.
Yeah,
It,
absolutely,
it brings you
absolutely.
to
And
currency.
it's, and it's needed and necessary because that's just what it is to be human these days. It might have been different in hunter-gatherer culture or
Yeah.
what have you, but
Oh, we didn't have
we
Instagram.
are here we are in modern world, technology
Yeah,
world, and it's all right here in our
it is.
face.
It is. We literally like I don't know about you, but I'm like I started like using Chat GPT like crazy now. And
Mhm.
it's literally like, okay, thank you for being in my pocket and giving me what it is that I need to know right now about this thing, and you're making complete sense.
Very good. Yeah, I'm using it, and some of my friends are using it more extensively.
Yeah.
So,
Um, so let's talk about the idea that we get better with age. So I put a post up on Facebook the other day expressing about my age, and I'm just going to read a little bit of it. And I was like, I'm afraid I'm past my prime, that I'm no longer attractive, that something that my inner Aphrodite is clawing her eyes out over. I don't want anybody to know how old I am because I don't want to be discarded by society. I don't want to be seen as too old to be loved right, too old to make millions, too old to get on the real estate ladder or whatever, right? Like, and I went on, like, that's paraphrasing what I was saying.
yeah,
But I was basically like, I'm going to be 50 this year. It's freaking me the heck out. And my body's changed. I catch myself in candid photos now or in the mirror, and I'm like, who's that? Who is that? Like I really am not recognizing myself right now.
Mhm.
And I've been in this in the last like, several months and just being like, bah. And so I just wrote about it and I was like, okay, I'm just feeling this way. But then on the flip side of it, I love myself. I love my body. I do think I'm sexy and I'm very sexual and I'm very sensual and I'm very playful and I'm excited for, what's next. And, like I've got this curiosity and this hunger for life. You know what I mean? So I'm sitting in this like duality of the two things. And I would really love to know like what is your take on this? Like how do we age in a way that like fine wine, or where it gets even better, where we find love, where our sex is even like juicier than ever before.
Yeah, I have some answers to say, and then I have some practices. So one, I'll just say that until I was 50, I really cared a lot what other people thought of me. And when I turned 50, I gave myself the gift of not caring anymore what other people think about me. So that gave me a lot of more time in life. Like I didn't have to obsess anymore about and second guess myself. Oh, I should have said this. I shouldn't have said this. Did I offend them? Did I whatever? I just stopped. I care about people. I'm never going to stop caring about people, but I don't, what they think of me is really none of my business. You know, that expression, like really it is, I don't care. And the more I don't care, the more loved I get. So like whatever I was doing and trying to like bend myself, shake myself, turn myself inside out to be loved, liked, accepted, I just stopped doing it. That was a big gift that I gave myself when I turned 50. Um, Not being impregnable anymore gives women in particular, a whole lot of freedom. Like they can have sex without worrying every month about whether they're going to be pregnant, whether they're going to skip a period. So that also is very, very freeing. And then
Yeah.
when, like to me, if a woman knows herself and if she I'll just speak to women for right now, but I think this is true for men too. If I know myself and I walk into a room and I'm really confident,
Mm.
I am hot and sexy
Yeah.
no matter what my body type is and no matter what the age of it is. So that's on me. It's my choice to live like that and act like that. I don't dress my age. I don't act my age. I don't do something that society says is of an age. And I don't also follow the premise that the only important and hot people are in the Pepsi generation. Like, not true. When somebody owns their sensuality and their sexuality, I couldn't do that in my 20s. I was too busy worrying about things or what other people thought of. So when I turned 50, like the whole thing changed. I felt like the whole game changed. And there's a lot of people who think that when they turn 50 and they stop menstruating that they're going to dry up. And in fact, they get juicier because they don't have to worry about the same things that they had to worry about before. If you're a parent and you're 50, your kids are almost grown. Like you can have your life back. So there's a lot of reason to live. There's a lot of things to live for. Now, if you tell yourself you're old, and like you're too old for this and you're too old for that and like you don't know if you could do this anymore because you're old, if you're constantly saying that to your mind, that's like negative self-talk. You're telling every cell in your body that it doesn't count. Cells replenish, all cells replenish in the whole body every 90 days, so it still happens. And when you're around between 50 and 60, you have to tweak it. Like you can't just depend on biology. For example, the pituitary gland produces human growth hormone, but after 50, it doesn't release it into the body. So I tweak it by injecting a peptide called Semorlin. So my body has human growth hormone in it because I take Semorlin and Semorlin signals the pituitary to release it. So there are some things we have to be up on. I'm up on a lot of them because I'm into biohacking. Not everybody is. But I feel that I'm going to be the most vital version of myself, no matter what my age. And that's a choice that I made because somebody asked me, do you want to just age and let it happen? Or do you want to tweak it and see what you can do? And so I said, I want to tweak it and see what I can do. So that's where I wrote the book. This is it. I'll just hold it up. That's where I wrote the book, Sex and Happiness. It Gets Better with Age. I was on a boat in Greece going to an island. I was reading a book that bored me. The name of the book was great. It was called What is Happiness and How Can I Get Some? And I thought, what a great book. I'll read this. It was a horrible book. So I put it down and I said, now what am I going to do for 4 hours? And so I started writing about every new thing I had done since turning 60, like all the new risks I had taken, all the new adventures that had happened, all the new things. And that brought me to 7 new laws for relating. And they're counter to what I was educated to do or what my parents were educated to do. Like, I know that as people age, they get routines, and routines make them feel safe. So they start to like follow daily routines. I'm not saying not to have any. Getting up in the morning and working out is a really good routine, but breaking things up, like not doing everything the same just because that's how you've always done it, that will age you. That will not keep you safe. That will make you more rigid. Setting boundaries. I have setting boundaries in my other book, but that's about being younger. When we're younger, we have to set boundaries around our bodies. Like, I don't want someone to touch me until I say or give consent for them to be able to touch me. Okay, fine. But when I'm older, people do these scams on older people, like they try to take older people's money. Older people worked so hard to have their retirement fund, to have whatever, and now they need to say, no, you can't have my money. Who are you anyway? Like there has to be a boundary around money. Letting the past go. We talked about it already. You mentioned it in terms of getting into relationship. People do these things like, oh, the old songs were so much better, and the styles we had back when were also so much better, and the way we no, it's not. Like, we have to keep up with technology. Thank you for using AI. You need to use AI so that you can be current. So we have to break up those routines of being so comfortable in the way things were. They were what they were, and now they are what they are. Yeah, so there are a lot of practices that people can use to stay young and to stay healthy and to stay sexy and vibrant. It's everything. It's mental health set, it's expressing our truth, and it's how we choose to age and how we choose to dress and how we choose to carry ourselves. So, I mean, those are just a few things that I cover in my book.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so I'm going to recap these things here. First of all, who cares what people think? I love that one.
Mhm.
Love that one.
I
I
tell people, don't wait till you're 50.
Yeah,
Start
don't wait
caring
till
what people think right now.
who cares? I honestly don't care what people,
Really?
but I do, but then I don't, like I'm on that precipice of like there's still some people that I care what they think, and I care about people. I really do care about people,
Caring about people is
yeah,
different from caring about what they
what
think.
they think. Yeah,
Because
exactly.
that's all the story in the head. Like,
Yeah,
oh, think badly of me. How do I know? Yeah, find
yeah,
out.
right. And it's based on their past thoughts.
Exactly.
um, I like the sex without fear of getting pregnant. I like that one. I have 2 babies. Don't want no more, thank you.
Great.
um that confidence, like when you're walking into a room and you're confident, like that's enough. And then because it's true that that confidence is very sexy. And then just like not acting and dressing your age. I got introduced into sort of like dancing and raving and whatever just a couple of years ago.
Mm.
And, this means like going out at 10 o'clock at night, like not being in bed at 10, but going out. And it's so much freaking fun. When I first was introduced to it, I was like, are you crazy? I'm in bed at that time. There's no way you go out at 10. Like, who does that? And then the first time I did it, I was like, okay, I'm so tired. I'm gonna do it. And now I'm like, oh, I get it. And I love it. And I dress however the hell I want. I dress as sexy as I want, like as half naked as I want, and I don't care. It is such an expressive thing, and it's safe and it's fun, and it's just about the music, and it's not about anything else. It's just about the music and my friends and, like, the environment and all of that kind of stuff. But it's like, I'm not 20, and but I'm exploring and I'm expanding, and I can see myself like doing all the crazy stupid crap that I didn't do in my 20s because I was like an adult as a kid, that I can see myself like doing crazy stupid things and dressing even more wild and dressing and just being even more crazy like the older I get. I agree so much with that. You mentioned biohacking.
Yeah.
You mentioned mixing up your routine. Like, it's good for us to have specific things on a daily basis that we're doing to keep ourselves healthy, like exercise and eating healthy
Mhm.
and things like that. But like having that same monotonous thing every day, like I can see how that would put you in such a rut. Definitely, I'm a huge advocate for setting boundaries. Wrote a whole book on it, so I'm in 100% agreement on that one. And then I agree on letting go of the past. I I don't like to hang on to things for too long, and I rarely ever look back at my life and think, well, those were the good old days. I think, well, they're still to come, or right now is even better than before, and like,
Yeah.
what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next is like how I embark on this.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. And letting go of grievances and
Yeah.
hurts
Yeah.
and stored pain, like just letting go of that, not being right about
Mm,
predicting that the past is going to predict the future, like letting it go.
yeah.
So all of that helps in staying great and staying youthful. And it can get better with age. It's just a question of, are you willing to put the effort that way instead of the effort in the other way, remembering the
Yeah.
past or storing hurts or whatever. It
Right.
doesn't it doesn't do anything for your body to store hurts in your body.
Well, it what it does is it ages you. It makes
Hmm.
you heavier,
Hmm.
you know? Yeah, it ages you and it makes you heavier. And I think like it's work either way, right? It's either work to hang on to something and hold on to it and like, no, I'm right about this thing and I'm gonna resent you for the rest of my life or whatever, versus okay, I'm gonna heal and work through this thing and then you become lighter and it's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that thing that
Yeah.
happened.
Or I was afraid for my whole life of this, that, or the other, and now I'm going to have an adventure and I'm going to do those things.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So that's really it. So it's really about thinking and then it's about acting. So how am I going to think and how am I going to act and how am I going to be? So if you choose to dry up, I mean, and let yourself act in age or dress in age, well, that's your choice. That just isn't my choice. It doesn't sound like it's yours either, Krisha. So
yeah.
yeah.
No way. Well, while we're wrapping up here, I want to give you more of an opportunity to talk about like your books and like how can we learn more about you? Like you're a fascinating woman. You've got a lot of really important things to say, and I love that you've been embodied in doing this work for a really long time.
Yeah.
And I think it needs even more exposure, right? And so like what tell us more about like how we can find you, what your books.
Well, I have two books. They're both the same. They're both the same name, Sex and Happiness. The first one is The Tantric Laws of Intimacy. There are 10 laws on how to live and how to love. And then the second one is It Gets Better with Age. There's 7 laws about how to live and how to love older and into eternity. And you can find me on Instagram at Laurie.handlers. You can find me on Facebook at Laurie Handlers. You can find me on my website, which is lauriehandlers.com. And I'll just spell it because in case you're listening to this on audio and you don't see us, it's LaurieHand, like hand, lers, Lers. If you just Google me, you'll find many, many things. I podcasted for 15 years and I've been interviewed on many, many other people's podcasts. I have my 2 books, and I do courses and workshops. I facilitate them all over the world, on every continent, and for people of all ages who want more to life. They want more joy. They want more aliveness in their life. They come to see me. Yeah.
I love it.
Also, let me just say, if people go to my website, lauriehandlers.com, you can get a free workbook on mastering your boundaries, which is what I said, it's the place where we start. A lot of people have issues with boundaries. Like they expect other people to uphold their boundaries, and it doesn't work like that. Boundaries are my responsibility.
Mhm.
So it's a really good workbook on how to find out what your boundaries are and then how to enforce your own boundaries.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Boundary,
Good.
that's such a big conversation for sure. Ending that disease to please and really knowing what's a yes for you, what's a no for you, and then like not being afraid to like say that, and
Really?
implement those things. Yeah.
Well, if you don't know how to say no, I can't really trust your yes, whoever you are.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
can't.
I can't either.
Yeah.
I'm questioning whether your yes is authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's shaky
It's a
ground.
whole other topic.
It really is. Yeah, that's super shaky ground. Um, do you have any parting words? Like, do you have any like okay, let's get I know what we're gonna do. A parting words for someone in their 20s, a parting word for someone in their 30, 40s, and then a parting word for someone in their like 50s, 60s.
I think I said it already. Don't care what other people think about you. Like, like
Period.
get to that as soon as you can. That's like race to the finish line of don't care what anybody thinks about you, whatever age you are. And also, like, if you're a caretaker or people pleaser, I'm not saying not to care for people, but think of yourself like you're your most important asset. Nobody will care for you the way you care for yourself. And request help. Like, it's really important. We don't have to do everything ourselves. You know, and the couples that I work with, like they are afraid, they're ashamed to seek help because they believe what Walt Disney gave us in Cinderella, that we should be able to live happily ever after, but we never learned any skills for that. So nobody knows how to be in relationship at all. It's all, we're making it up as we go along. So there's nothing to be ashamed of. All we have to do is reach out, and there's help there.
Yeah, that's so true. It's so true. And thinking back to every movie and every show that I've ever seen, it's like, nope, they meet, they fall in love, they have a strife, they fall out, then they fall in love again, and then that's it. And it's like, where's the shadow work? Where's the where's the
Yeah.
projection? Where's the
We, we all need help in that department. Being in relationship is
yeah,
like the most intense kind of yoga.
my God, it really is.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, hey, I am so incredibly grateful that you said yes to being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. I'm just like I'm really like just thank you for going first. Thank you for being a trailblazer in this because it's really giving women like me and other women who I've interviewed on this podcast permission to keep talking about this stuff and keep pushing this message out there, right? And hopefully this is just going to be normal conversation at some point, and
I
not
hope
like
so.
a taboo thing, like
I truly
uh,
hope so.
yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Laurie. I so appreciate you being here. And thank you to the listener and the watcher of The Dirt and the Divine. I really appreciate you being here. Please go check out Laurie's stuff and check out some of my other podcast episodes. We've got a lot of really amazing, beautiful, juicy guests on here. Make sure to like and subscribe and leave a review. If you want to know more about me, you can find me at krishayoung.com, about my coaching programs and anything else that I've I've got on offer. If you want more of my edgy, fun, weird content, you can go to Instagram. More of my writing is on Facebook, and business stuff that I never ever post on is LinkedIn. But I'm on all the channels. So thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next episode. Thanks, Laurie.
Thanks, Krisha.
Thank you.